Our former finance minister. Where is he? The records would bear me out that indeed, when the respected former finance minister had issue with the OSP, which mattered the majority leader himself, came to apologize. He used the dispatch box to apologize on behalf of government for the mishandling of the whole matter. We as leaders owed a responsibility and a duty in the matter. I, right here, indicated that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta had written to the OSP through his lawyers that he was going to be in the country on or before May, not July. This was in February. Mr. Speaker, in the letter, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta again indicated that he had been booked for surgery. When the time came and his doctors further advised that the surgery will require some healing process, Mr. Speaker, he again wrote, this time not only a letter by his lawyers, the letter from his doctors. It is not a matter of I resigning or making a promise and failing to honor that. Let's put things in proper context. All I want Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim to understand is that when it comes to ill health, our medicals, all of us may go through it one way or the other. If a man is going through a serious medical condition, how many of us will be bold to disclose our medical record? But the man has disclosed his medical record. Mr. Speaker, that hospital where he's receiving treatment is a renowned medical hospital in the United States. Let's be fair to Ken Ofori-Atta. Let's be fair. It can be you tomorrow.
Given an impression that members on this side are insensitive to the medical condition of Ken Ofori-Atta. That is the impression you have sought to give. Mr. Speaker, Ken Ofori-Atta was very sick in this country. You could see the sickness in his face. By that time, it was sweet to be a finance minister. It was sweet to be a finance minister. In spite of the ill health, he persisted and insisted on remaining in this country as a finance minister. How come that suddenly, because today he is being sought after by the law enforcement agencies, he cannot live in this country and is claiming illness? He was sick when he was finance minister. We all saw it. He was sick.
Honorable members.
And so you had majority leader there ending that debate. Well, it is actually still ongoing, and a number of other issues have come up on the floor of Parliament. Mahama Ayariga was clearly not taking the excuse that was being put forward by the minority leader, who is Alexander Apenyo-Marking. So the conversation was quite heated. Different positions were shared by either side of the House, especially the minority, trying to defend the absence of the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, who told the special prosecutor through his lawyers and a number of correspondents that he is seeking medical attention in the United States of America. And so the argument that the minority leader was putting across was that since there are clear indications that the former finance minister was unwell and was seeking medical attention, we do not need to belabor the point of ill health, because it could be anybody who, suffers this kind of ailment. So we should not play on the fact that he is human and has fallen ill and is seeking treatment. But this argument was countered strongly by the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga, who says that when Ken Ofori-Atta was a finance minister, he was ill. It was even around the time that all Ghanaians were made aware that our finance minister was unwell. But because of the nature of the position he carried as finance minister, he thought it wise at the time to stay in the country, although it was obvious he had come out to say that he was sick. So if you were sick at that time but was still able to stay in the country to carry on your duties as finance minister, why is it that now that you are done with your tenure as finance minister, you do not want to stay in the country or return, even if you've gone out already to seek medical attention, at least return to face justice or face the law, as a number of issues or allegations have been brought against you, which is likely to tarnish your reputation. So that's the argument that the majority leader is making, that he should be able to come back to the country, that is Ken Ofori-Atta, to at least face the law or try and clear his name of all these allegations that have been leveled against him. But that argument has been ongoing for some time now, and we all wait with fingers crossed to see whether or not the former finance minister will pull a surprise on all of us and appear in the country, go straight to the office of the special prosecutor to get the prosecution rolling, so he can at least clear his name of all the allegations and accusations that have been brought against him. We'll try and bring you other things that have been happening on the floor of the House, including the fact that the conversation about the anti-LGBTQ bill has come up again strongly. But let's have a fair idea of how the entire day has been. Christian Yali is our parliamentary correspondent. He's joined us for a quick conversation on this. Mr. Yali, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Thank you, Martin.
Give us an idea what is currently happening in the House, and while at that, you would also want to tell us how the entire day has been following this back and forth of a debate from the two sides of the House.
Currently, Martin, the House has adjourned to Tuesday, midday, 12 o'clock, when they would reconvene. But the day largely featured the regular debate on the 2026 budget, and with that especially, we know that the issue on the government plan to retool the Ghana Air Force came up strongly, also because those who matter on that particular subject matter, i.e. the Defense and Interior Committee, had their leadership from both sides of the House commenting on it. And so first was the ranking member, John Ntimfodjo, who raised the concerns that were earlier raised by his colleague members from the minority side, that government is in a way attempting to rather purchase a new presidential jet for the president instead of what they have more or less termed as new fleet of aircraft, fighter jets, or what they call as the medium range and long range aircraft for the Ghana Air Force. But that was quickly rebutted by the chairperson on the Defense and Interior Committee, James Tagaga, who made a case that over the week, the minority has insisted on pursuing that agenda of presidential jets, but there is no mention of presidential jets in the budget as was read by the finance minister. However, it is just a 4-year term, a 4-year plan to retool the Ghana Air Force and give it the requisite, and even makes a case that the demand for the aircraft is a strategic requirement that was made by the Ghana Air Force itself. And before the budget is finalized, these committees engage the agencies that fall under them to get their needs, which are then, transferred or transmitted to the finance minister, who gets to, simulate all of them into that comprehensive policy document that is presented. So that was a major thing that featured. And then other members had their regular bites based on the specific, sectors that they belong to and what they want to talk about concerning the 2026 budget.
Right.
And so that was basically the conversation. But there was a bit on illegal mining as well, where we know that the minority is, and the chief whip, Frank Anodom, made a case that Parliament should go a step further in the fight against Galamsey by ensuring that once every week, the lands minister is programmed to appear before the House to come to more or less give them progress reports on what government has been able to do as of that time concerning the fight against illegal mining.
Right. We do have Martin Kpebu on the line, and he would help us try and talk about the issue of Ken Ofori-Atta. But how did that debate end on the floor of Parliament?
In fact, it ended by way of the minority leader stating that, yes, while earlier he had made that communication that he, the minority leader, would ensure the return of Ken Ofori-Atta to the country, which is on record, that the case must be made that it is purely based on medical grounds that the former finance minister has yet to return to the country. And one should not attempt to politicize the issue, because then, in his view, it is a medical issue that can affect everyone, but it shouldn't be an issue of mockery that other finance ministers who served while in opposition still stayed in the country, but Ofori-Atta alone has refused to stay in the country or has refused to face accountability. So that is where it ended. But the majority side insists that no matter what the situation is, so far as he was conveniently serving as finance minister, even when his health began failing him, as the majority leader would put it, it is in the same vein that they expect him to return to the country, also knowing that the special prosecutor has already hinted at arraigning him and other suspects before the court in the coming days.
Thank you, Christian Yali, for that update from the Parliament of Ghana. He is our parliamentary correspondent there, Christian Yali. Now let's also speak to Martin Pewu, private legal practitioner, on the subject of the back and forth between the minority side and the majority side, but more importantly, the fact that on Monday, the case by the Office of the Special Prosecutor against Ken Ofori-Atta and some 6 others will be in court. Mr. Pewu, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM. Hello, Mr. Pewu.
Yes, hello?
Yes,
yeah,
good. I can hear you. Thank you for your time. We know that on Monday, the special prosecutor will be going to court. You had said that it's even too late in the day, but some would say better late than never. The trial in absentia, is that what we should be expecting on Monday from where you sit? And having followed this conversation, is that the sense you get, that when the case that does start on Monday, it's going to be like you have always proposed, that it should have started long ago?
Okay, yeah, we will not be able to tell if the trial in absentia can proceed on Monday, until Monday comes and then we hear what the OSP has to tell the court. I mean, specifically under the law, you need to give Ofori-Atta notification. And these charges were just filed on, a few days ago, and especially in our estimation, in order to divert attention. You know, right now, the current raging issue is that Ghanaians are baying for Kissi Ejabe's blood. Ghanaians are saying he should resign. That's what is happening on social media, right? You see all the journalists and citizens, Captain Smart, you see citizens on Facebook, giving me support that we should go on. So right now, the trending matter is that citizens say Kissi Ejabe should resign. So in order to divert attention from the resignation, they quickly filed the charges. Now, under article, so that he can douse the conversation, divert attention from his resignation. But after the resignation, he has to do or he will be sacked. Okay, so now let's come to what can happen in court. So the Constitution says in Article 19, Clause 3, that you can do a trial in absentia if you notify the accused person and he doesn't come to court. So right now, we don't know, and I don't want to run ahead of the Office of Special Prosecutor, whether between the day they filed the charges, I think that must have been on Tuesday. Yes, because, that was on Tuesday, because I went to the Office of the Special Prosecutor on Wednesday, right? Mm-hmm. And Wednesday was 18th, right? No, 19th. Then yesterday, Thursday, 20th. Yes. Okay, so it was Tuesday, 18th that he filed the charges. Now, we all know Ofori-Atta is in America. If it's by ordinary post, I doubt from Tuesday was effective. Okay, even if we count Tuesday, today, Friday, I doubt if you would have received it. And so the next thing maybe we should be asking is, maybe if we can interview Frank Davis to see whether it was agreed that the charges, the charges should be brought to him. Okay. Yes.
As a lawyer of Ken Ofori-Atta.
Sorry. As
the lawyer for Ken Ofori-Atta.
Yes, I'm not saying it is. legal because we don't know the arrangement. You see, so the law is saying that, let's get this, the Constitution is very flexible. The Constitution says that to do a trial in absentia, the main thing is that notify the accused person that there will be a trial, and this is the date. And then we will see. So you see, even on Tuesday, when the charges were filed, we didn't know it is Monday. That's why I said, but I don't want to comment adversely on that one because maybe for strategic reasons, the special prosecutor didn't want to inform us that the court date is Monday at that time. It's nothing. I don't want us to make anything of it. But the key thing we need to know whether the trial will go on Monday, Monday 24th November, is whether Oforiatta has been served, either personally, which is usually the best, or through his lawyers. And if I say through his lawyers, let's be very careful. Before saying that through his lawyers, it means that there must be clear evidence that he was contacted in writing, not phone call. Even if they say phone call, they have to back it with a paper trail for audit. So they would have contacted him, and then Oforiatta would say yes. And they wouldn't give him a copy. Then he would then say, maybe give my lawyer. Please, this one I'm mentioning is usually not the practice. I mean, because if I say it's usually not the practice, that's not what I want to say. What I mean to say is that this kind of serving is not common. It doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen often. Try and absentia, there are very few and far in between. The most popular one in Ghana is called Bonsu alias Benjilo, and that was in the 90s. And then finally a Supreme Court decision on it in the year 2000. So what we are saying is that under the law, they are supposed to give it to Oforiatta himself. Under the law, let's be clear. The charge sheet and facts should be given to Oforiatta himself, right? But because he's outside the country, if they notify him through maybe letter or email or whatever, it's likely that apart from he taking a copy, he could say, oh, go and give it to my lawyer as well. So I'm saying that you won't find this in the law books that this type of thing, go and give it to his lawyer. No, it's not stated in our criminal and other offenses, this Procedure Act. It's not stated in the law that go and give it to the lawyer. The ones that you can go and give to the lawyer, this is not the type of trial. This type of trial we are confronted with. This is a big case. It's only when it's a small offense, what they call misdemeanor, a few motor traffic offenses, that they can say the lawyer can go and represent him in court. This is not one of those. Under the Act 30. So it means that for this one, it's Oforiatta himself. So it's on Monday we'll hear from the court whether Oforiatta has been notified. If it has not yet been done, then Article 19 clause 3E would not have been satisfied. In other words, then the special prosecutor will not even go ahead. No, the special prosecutor will not go ahead. What he would rather do is that he would seek to he would rather seek to inform the court that he needs time. The prosecutor, of course, usually the special prosecutor doesn't go himself. So the one representing the office will now inform the court that, oh, my lord, we just filed the charges on this and this date. We are now taking steps. But if they are not done, we are now taking steps to notify Oforiatta. So we will get to know all of that on Monday. Once the special prosecutor hasn't given a press conference on it, we will hear from the representatives in court on Monday.
And then what happens to... so what we are being told, or information we are gathering, indicates that the lawyer for Oforiatta, Frank Davis, says that he has not been formally served. So we probably will just have to wait, like you're saying, for Monday, then we can all have a better understanding of all of this. So, good. So you see what I'm saying. So once Frank Davis is saying that Oforiatta has not been served, then that's it. It means that Monday they will take an adjournment in respect of that, so that they will now seek to serve him, and then we'll take it from there. And what happens to the other individuals, the 6 others who are also standing trial, on the same, they are part of the 78 counts that the OSP has leveled against them? If they are around, can their trial start, although it is tied to Ken Oforiatta in a way?
Great. When you say can't their trial start, yes, in theory it can. And when we say it can, to be specific, it just means the taking of the plea. Yes, their pleas can be taken. in theory, nothing stops the judge from saying, okay, if the following persons are present, let's take their pleas so that we know whether this is going to be a long trial or maybe they are all going to plead guilty. Another judge will say, look, I want you to go and serve Ofori-Atta so that I will do everything on one day. Because when Ofori-Atta is served, the presumption in law is that he may come or not come. So when the day comes, we'll know whether he's coming into court or he will not. If that day comes and he's not coming into court, then the judge will say, I'll proceed. So this one is a discretion to be exercised by the judge. He will decide whether to take the pleas. That's the guilty. Are you guilty or not guilty? Then the person will say guilty or not guilty. That part, taking the plea, guilty or not guilty, the judge can do for the rest and adjourn to do for Ofori-Atta. Or he will say, no, all of you, hold on. I want to take all the pleas on one day. I want to take the pleas, all of them on one day. Yeah, so no, it doesn't.
Finally, sorry for cutting in, but finally, how do we serve? What are the options available to the OSP in serving Ken Ofori-Atta, who is currently at large or cannot be found? His person cannot be found. Does that mean that it should necessarily go to his lawyer?
No, it has to go to Ofori-Atta himself. Now, the way we operate our laws, as I've said, this is not one of those that you can. In actual fact, you can't go and give the lawyer for Ofori-Atta under our laws. You have to find Ofori-Atta himself and give him. And let me also even make this clear. Most of the time, look, over 90% of the cases, the charge sheet that is available publicly, they don't go and give it to the accused person. What the police, normal police case, what they do is that they just, what do you call it? Usually call the person on phone. The court date is this. So nowadays, this practice of filing the charge sheet and then giving the accused before, it's a new practice which is commendable. It's long overdue. But we are just saying, because I'm sure some lawyers may be listening and they say, hey, what is Martin talking about? There are cases where accused persons are served with charge sheet. They are just small, few cases. It's now a recent practice. But overwhelming majority, you hear, you'll be there one day, maybe you are in church or maybe having dinner, then the phone rings. It's the investigator of the case. Then, yes, the court date is Monday or whatever day. Come and meet us there. Then you go. That's what usually is done. But thank God now we are filing charges and then serving them on the accused. So they will call you that, the charges, the charge sheet is ready. Come for it, and you go for it. But it's not always the practice. But what we're answering is that, so it has to go to the person himself. We've not yet reached that stage where they'll say go and give it to the lawyer.
Okay.
But rather, now, because Frank Davis has been speaking for Ofori-Atta, then it's possible that if they are not finding Ofori-Atta, then the judge, to be progressive, can say that, listen, then go and give it to Frank Davis.
Okay.
But that one will create some other challenges. You see, so you see why we said when Ofori-Atta offered to talk to the special prosecutor by Zoom, we said take it. Because when you take it and you start dealing with him, if finally you send charges and he doesn't respond, a court of law will look at the audit trail, your conversations, this, and then final day you send him charges and he doesn't respond. The court will proceed. Right. I told you that, look, he said that he's just playing with that. This thing, he will not do trial in absentia. Sami Daku was coming on air and misleading Ghanaians that to do trial in absentia, the accused person has to physically come to the court first, one day, and then if he runs away, absconds, before you then say trial in absentia. That was what they were saying in January. They kept saying it and we kept pushing back. You see, finally, they've agreed to do trial in absentia. But you see how many months we've lost. And Martin, this is the icing on the cake. Do you know what they did? You see, from January to November, do you know what's happening? I can tell you that all this while, Ofori-Atta has been trying to change his status in America. Ofori-Atta went to America on a visitor's visa. Now, they've afforded him, OSP has afforded him a lot of time, so he's trying to get what they call permanent residence in America. One of his sons applied for him. I told you that, look, this fight against corruption, Ghanaians are very determined. People will pull information from all over the world. I'm telling you that right now, Ofori-Atta is in America trying to get a permanent residence. So that will change. Permanent residence, like for those who go to UK, that's the equivalent of indefinite stay. So that will change his status. You know, Ofori-Atta used to be a U.S. citizen. He was a U.S. citizen and then eventually had to give it up so that he become a minister, etc. Those things. Now he's going back. That's the thing. He's going back on a trajectory to become a U.S. citizen again. So you see the thing. A special prosecutor bought him time free at the expense of the Ghanaian. And Kissi Ejabin thinks he will keep that office. It won't happen. Not in Ghana. We are very strong.
Right. And
Kissi Ejabin has bought him a lot of time. 11 months. Cheap.
And if the information you are giving us is anything to go by, then it means that if he does get that, if he's granted that citizenship, it means that it will be even more difficult to even try and get him to come into the country. So probably he gets to be a dual citizen. That would still be difficult for us. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's the game. You see, the game is unraveling. You see, everything will come to light. Everything will come to light. Look, you can't take a nation for granted. The special prosecutor office, it comes with moral authority as well. It's not like one of those institutions where we say over the years the heads are usually rogues. I mean, excuse my word, but usually, government tilts them anyhow. No. It's not like one. This one, it comes with a high moral authority. We are not, and even some of the institutions that it appears there's no need for high moral authority. It's decades of politics and those that have weakened them. But you see that even for those ones, Ghanaians don't agree. So you see that we are always exercising our civic oversight over them, just like the way Parliament exercises parliamentary oversight over the executive. We are doing civic oversight over public institutions. Ghanaians have been fighting to restore a lot of morality to those public institutions. So Kissi Ejabin, you can't just throw the moral authority away like that. With what Kissi Ejabin has done, he's lost the moral fight. So he has to just go. Whether we prove corruption against him or not, once he sat, watch Ofori-Atta leave this country, that alone is sufficient. I don't need to add any other charges. It's sufficient for Kissi Ejabin to have resigned. When did he do the interview? Was it 5th November?
Yes.
It was 5th November we got to hear about it. Yes, he should have resigned. And so, are you aware there's going to be a demonstration against him on Tuesday? You see the demonstration I said I'm going to organize? Another citizen, Reverend Labi, is organizing a demonstration against Kissi Ejabin on Tuesday. I'll send you the flyers, please. 3FM and TV3, please cover it. Citizens rising. Citizens are exercising their sovereignty, their right. Citizens are masters of the public institutions. We are the ultimate deciders. So when the public institution is being frustrated, the head has to come and report to the owner of the country. That's the citizen. If you don't do, that's a betrayal of the Ghanaian people. Because, look, citizens being sovereign is in the preamble to the Constitution, Article 1, Article 35, and Article 125. And even apart from these 4 provisions I've mentioned, there are other provisions in the Constitution. When you read, you see that they are talking about sovereignty.
And it's good you are raising the public interest on this and asking that we all need to speak up against some of these issues. So like you indicated, Tuesday, we all look forward to that demonstration. And thank you also for the thoughts and education you've given us regarding this issue.
Thank you.
Martin Kpebu is a private legal practitioner. Certainly in the coming days, we'll still be engaging him to get a better understanding of how all of this is going to play out, especially as the special prosecutor heads to court on Monday. And what he is taking to court is the corruption and corruption-related allegations and accusations leveled against former finance minister and 6 others in the SML GRA deal, where the state is said to have lost an amount of 1.4 billion Ghana cedis. We'll definitely keep very close tabs on this and update you subsequently. We'll later go to Parliament to look at the other issues regarding the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, which the minority MP John Ntimfojwo is raising and questioning why it has been taken out of the order papers for a number of days now. But before that, let's do some politics because the decision by the New Patriotic Party not to allow proxy voting in its upcoming presidential primary continues to split opinions within the party. While some members back the directive, others remain strongly opposed to it. On Thursday, the Elections Committee rejected petitions from party student groups and diaspora members challenging the ban, insisting that the rule is necessary to safeguard the credibility and smooth conduct of the polls. But critics argue that the move disenfranchises loyal members who cannot be physically present in the country to vote. Let's first hear from the chair of the Elections Committee, who is Joe Osei-Wusu. Many of you will know him as Joe Wise.
The earlier published position or guideline on proxy voting. We've listened to all kinds of petitions. We've read the petitions presented by sections of the party, and after listening to all that, we came to a conclusion that for the sake of conducting an election that is incident-free and election that is respected, election that is accessible to all, a very credible election, that provision or that ban should be maintained. We will still not have proxy voting in this 2026 presidential primaries. That position is maintained. Thank you very much for coming.
And that is Joe Osei-Wusu, who is the chair of the NPP's Elections Committee. Now, a leading member of the party, Dr. Kwabena Kennedy, who says he's disappointed at the decision, believes that the party could have found other ways for members in the diaspora to also vote. He spoke earlier on Ghana Tonight.
I kind of partially agree with the committee based on the limited information that I have. I think that to call it proxy voting is a little bit of a misnomer. There are many different ways of voting. Maybe the more appropriate term might be advanced voting or mail voting. And I think that there were ways that this could have been done, but I do not accuse the committee of any ill motive. I think that Mr. Osei-Wusu is a very thorough person. He does his homework. So I think that they had challenges that maybe they couldn't overcome. I think that if they work with the diaspora groups, there might be ways of overcoming these challenges. You know, in America, for example, whenever they have elections, all Americans living abroad still vote. You know, there are guidelines about when your ballot must get there, the state the ballot must be in. So I actually acknowledge that the committee has challenges, and unless you get consensus buy-in, it's difficult to operationalize a vote by diaspora groups. But it also begs the question, though, if not now, then when? When will MPP members in the diaspora be able to vote in an election? And it's since MPP normally leads Ghana, it kind of brings us echoes of ROPA that I think people pay lip service to the fact that people abroad must vote someday, but there is no commitment on the ground. So I am disappointed. I wish that the committee had worked harder with the diaspora groups to find ways to get them to vote. I don't think.
And you heard the voice of Dr. Kwabena Kennedy, who is a leading member of the New Patriotic Party. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, political analyst. Doc, good evening. Thank you for staying on the line and being with us. To start with, what do you make of this decision? Because we do know that prior to the announcement, the party used to allow proxy voting. This time around, they say that due to quote-unquote unforeseen circumstances and the fact that they want to protect the integrity of the process, there's not going to be proxy voting. What are your thoughts? Hello, Dr. Asante-Okyere? Hello, Dr. Asante-Okyere? We seem not to have Dr. Asante Ochre on the line. Jonathan Asante Ochre is a political analyst, and we wanted to pick his thoughts on the new directive given by the New Patriotic Party. They have an election committee preparing the way for what would happen in January next year, January 2026. The party is looking to elect its flag bearer, one that will lead the party into the 2028 general elections. But ahead of that, the elections committee chair, Joseph Osewusu, says that there is not going to be proxy voting. Why is he saying that? And we'll try and find out what exactly this will mean. He says that they want to protect the integrity of the polls and also ensure that they are able to keep track of how the entire voting process goes. Probably maybe because of how much of an interest this election is going to be. Hopefully we have a better connection to Dr. Jonathan Asante Ochre. Doc, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, Martin.
Right. I was asking you that we know in time past the party used to allow proxy voting where any registered member in good standing around the world or in areas where they had proper documentation were allowed to vote. This time around, it's not going to be happening for them. And the party is saying that it is to protect the integrity of the process. What do you make of that assertion?
Well, that is that particular issue is open to several interpretations. They want to protect the integrity of the ballot. I think they will want to go for the lesser of the two evils. It appears that the build-up to the elections, you could see that tensions are very high. The stakes are quite high. So the party believes that it is prudent that they safeguard the process from the beginning up to the end so that they prevent a situation where somebody loses and will want to resort to the law court. And that could probably derail the successes of the entire process. But if you look at this particular thing from different perspectives, you see, the party is at a crossroads. In those years that you used to organize proxies, what has really changed? That today you wouldn't want to add the proxies to it. In those years, was the integrity of those years, impugned, or the chairman and the committee, in a foreseeable future, think that if they should allow things of that nature, if somebody loses and the person decides to break away because the person will think that the integrity of the proxies, could be challenged, it was not foolproof, that in itself could create another problem for the party. And I believe that is the more reason why the chairman of the committee and the committee itself wouldn't want to tolerate that. But it also frowns on the constitution of the party. Because we all know that, for example, in national elections, those who are on missions abroad, like the police, the army, or the military, those in the embassies, they are allowed to vote, because these are recognized Ghanaians in the mission of the country. The rest, they are on their own greener pasture seeking. And so that is why ROPAL, has not seen the light of day. But if you look at the whole process, and it frowns on the constitution of the party, and he being a lawyer for that matter, if they should decide to go to court, what would be, what would the issue be like? But of course, the rest may want to think that, look, it is our party, we want the party to, rise through the refuse and then to ensure that they rebuild. And so they may decide to let bygones be bygones. But other than that, if they go to court and that is the constitution enshrined, that is the article enshrining the constitution of the party, I think that would be a very big problem for the party. But that being said, you see, I've listened to both sides from the Baumia side, from Mr. Kennedy's side, and so on and so forth, and they seem to have different arguments towards it. And then later on, they play it safe so that those who are abroad may not believe that they are not on their side. But that being said, if they are not too sure of the integrity of this particular proxy voting, I think that is the best decision that the committee and the chairman will have taken.
Right. So you believe that several considerations have been made to arrive at this decision, but could these individuals who feel they have been disenfranchised or they could be disenfranchised take the party up, although the party has tried to reason with them and explain that we want to quote-unquote protect the integrity of the process? Can they still be taken on?
Yeah, Martin, that particular statement is very vague and is open to several interpretations. You want to protect the integrity, you see, of the electioneering process. Yes. Even with or without it, you must protect the integrity. Now, how does the proxies, compromise the integrity of the elections? If these are identifiable groups out there, you have, youth organizer, you have this and that. These are recognizable individuals who have voting right within the party, and they are delegates. Well, unless maybe the candidates who are very wealthy will want to bring some of them down, knowing very well that these people will vote for them. But I don't think that it is worth that particular cost, that buying a champion, for example, will decide to bring some of them down. But how would you know they are even going to vote for you? Unless if it is a proxy. There is something else about proxy. Now, when people decide to vote by proxy, then it means that they would have identified a particular individual and they would have stated whoever the individual should vote for or on behalf, of those who are bearing the proxies. And that in itself could tip off the hand as to who is more likely to win the primaries. And I think that is also another thing that they will want to protect, so that it becomes a kind of surprise element. I think that is exactly what they really want to do. They want it to be a surprise element. They want to prevent the situation where whoever loses will have no other qualms than to accept and to come on board. I think that, for me, is the middle line that decision has been taken. I think it's the middle line that they've gone for.
They're just playing safe. Okay. We will see what further actions will be taken. Thank you for your time this evening, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere. And he is a political analyst and was giving his thoughts and perspectives on the decision that there will be no proxy voting for the 2026 flag bearer race or primary that the NPP will be holding in January. So trust your election command center to update you on how all of this plays out and what further decisions will be taken by the party going forward. This is still 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. It is live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. Before we go to business, let's take a listen to the debate that also ensued in Parliament on the issue of the LGBTQ plus bill. So, lead proponent of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, Reverend John Ntim Fojo, has expressed disappointment over the continuous delay in programming the anti-LGBTQ bill for its laying and passage. He says there seemed to be a deliberate attempt to frustrate the process to passing the bill, adding that it creates a wrong impression about Parliament. He makes a call that the bill be advertised for next week, barely few days after the President boldly assured the public that he would sign the bill into law once the House passes it.
Mr. Speaker, and it's been 6 weeks since the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, Private Members Bill, was featured on the order paper. The next day it was removed and some disputed reasons were given. A week after, the Speaker of Parliament gave a ruling, very clear. The records Hansard captures it, that nothing prevents the bill from being laid. It is 5 weeks from the time that Mr. Speaker gave that ruling. And since then, no attempt has been made by this House to have the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill to deal with the canker of LGBT devastating our norms and culture in this country, threatening our family values. And there seems to be a very very, very conspicuous silence on this. Mr. Speaker, the House must not create the impression that what was a priority in the 8th Parliament, a priority to the 275 members of Parliament, has suddenly been thrown under the carpet and has suddenly been jettisoned by the 9th Parliament. We debated it and we concluded. The controversy was resolved. Speaker declared that the bill has to be featured on the order paper. So the attempt by this government, by blocking this bill and blocking it from being featured, is a big disappointment to the people of this country, to the over 93% of Ghanaians who believe that marriage is between man and woman. It is a big disappointment to them. We demand that if it was oversight or error, it must be added to the order paper so that next week it is laid and presented for first reading, because on record, it has satisfied all the processes by the dictates of our standing orders and has been duly approved to be presented, laid for first reading and consequential referrals. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And you had Reverend John Intim Fojo, who is the one of the lead proponents for the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. In response to the demand to the program, in response to the demand to program the anti-LGBTQ bill for next week, the Majority Leader Mahama Ayariga also assured the House that government is ready to get the law passed and implemented. He cautioned against conspiracies that the NDC is reluctant to approve the bill.
As the records of this House will testify, the government of President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC majority, and I believe the Right Honorable Speaker, we are all very committed to the passage of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. If you recall, a couple of weeks ago when we debated this, I was the person who insisted that the fastest way to have this passed into law is to take a position that this Parliament has already passed it. So what is left is signature. And I recall many on your side arguing against my position, and so Speaker ruled, and he ruled that so far as he is concerned, the life of the 8th Parliament had elapsed, and this is a new Parliament, and once it wasn't signed, it had to be reintroduced afresh and taken through all the stages. So if you had listened to my advice and sided with me in the debate in this House, that we should treat it as having been passed by this House, and that once it is passed by this House, it is not part of businesses that have elapsed.
And that is the voice of Mahama Ayariga, the Majority Leader in Ghana's Parliament, bringing our segment to an end. Time now, though, for the latest in the world of sports, and Andrew Sefabanfo will bring that to us.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Andrew Sifa Bamfo. Let's start off from the Ghana Premier League where match day 11 comes your way this weekend. League leaders Mediama will be in action against Bechem United at the Takwa TNA Park on Saturday. Now, ahead of that time, Mediama head coach Ibrahim Tanko says only a win will do for his side.
No, I think we are playing home like any other game. When we go in, we want to control the game. We want to score goals. So definitely we are determined to do that. And it's not going to be easy. The team is a very good team. They have a new coach now. I think the players are motivated. But I think in playing home with our confidence, our supporters behind us, I hope that we will take the 3 points.
And so that was Mediama head coach Ibrahim Tanko speaking ahead of the Ghana Premier League tie against Bechem United. Let's head to Europe now, where Arsenal new boy Eberechi Eze has hailed new coach Mikel Arteta following his adaptation period at the Emirates. Eze, who was signed from Crystal Palace in the summer, has been involved in 3 Premier League goals so far in 9 games as he continues to settle in North London.
Yeah, he's incredible. Attention to detail, how much I'm learning so fast, the type of player I can see that I'll become in this environment, in the culture that he's created. It's a special place to be right now, for sure. He's a special guy. He's driven, he's focused and relentless every day. Yeah, for me, it's the perfect type of manager to work under, and I can see him getting the best out of me for sure.
And so that was Arsenal new boy Eberechi Eze speaking on the importance of having Mikel Arteta at his side at his new club. Finally, before we go, Liverpool head coach Arne Slot says his focus is not on winning the league despite leading the rest to clinch a 20th English top flight crown in the 2024-2025 season. Liverpool, who currently lie in 8th place, 8 points behind first place Arsenal, face Nottingham Forest on Saturday.
No, I think I've said many times already that at this moment of time, we're not even thinking or talking about it. Actually, we didn't do this last season as well when we were top of the league. It's just about the next game. And I've said many times last season, and I say this season again as well, the best way to judge a league table is after 38 games, but the next best thing, in my opinion, is after 19 games. And let's see where we are then. But at this moment of time, the only focus we have is winning games of football, which it was actually the same last season at this.
And so that was Liverpool boss Arne Slot speaking there ahead of their game this weekend, bringing an end to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 and bringing an end to Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. Catch us same time next week for more updates.